Hi everyone, this is Shayna Hiller from Build Your Personal Yoga Business. And today I'd like to discuss the importance of giving a Dharma talk when you're teaching yoga. Some of you guys may not even know what a Dharma talk is. A Dharma talk is a short story or an inspirational note that you may add at the beginning of your yoga class, and or you may weave it throughout the yoga class that you're teaching. The type of yoga that I studied before I was teaching always, no matter what, included a Dharma talk. And I gotta say that if it weren't there, I feel like I wouldn't even still be practicing yoga, because it really set the foundation. It made me really understand why I was there, and I felt so inspired to start my practice. These days, there's very little understanding or regulations around Dharma talk, so you may find some teachers who either talk for a very long time before anything starts moving, or some teachers completely neglect or just don't even do a Dharma talk, and you'll just start in downward dog and that's it. And there may be little to no words or little to no energy in the realm of inspiration or even yogic philosophy whatsoever. So the Dharma talks that I give in my classes are always, they have a purpose. So if I share a story, for example, about something that happened to me, the goal is not for people to hear a story about something that happened to me, but for me to intelligently be able to weave that story into a yogic scripture or something that has to do with the yoga practice, so that my students feel like they've learned something, that they've gathered a new skill, or that they're more inspired to step into their practice on and off the mat. So I can give you an example. One of the Dharma talks I gave recently was that I was in traffic. I was in traffic, it was unexpected, getting to a yoga class that I had to teach. And I really wanted to get there faster. But I needed to place my foot on the brakes, and I needed to slow down, and I still arrived at my destination. And no matter what, we all have to place our foot on the brakes if we do want to arrive. So I was trying to paint the picture of how slowing down is actually part of the journey to success, to arriving at the destination that we desire to get to. There's many different things that can happen, and probably do happen in your everyday life, that you can share in a yogic context. So what I find is that you don't need to start speaking in Sanskrit and reciting scriptures from the Bhagavad Gita in order to paint a picture of yoga to your students, but you can use something very simple, from smiling at a stranger to smelling a flower, and relate that to yoga and to the practice of yoga in general. That being said, the amount of time that you would take to give a Dharma talk in the beginning of your class depends on how long your yoga class is. So if you're teaching a 1-hour yoga class, my suggestion would be to get people settled, close their eyes, whether they're sitting or on their backs. I don't usually start in child's pose. When I teach, I like people to kind of have an open heart and feel open, whether they're on their back or sitting straight. 2 minutes if you're teaching a 1-hour class. 3 to 4 minutes if you're teaching a 75-minute class, and up to 5 minutes if you're teaching a 90-minute class. That's how long the talking piece should be before people start moving. So once you do that consistently, because I will say that in the beginning of my teaching career, I could sense people getting antsy because I'd always start with a talk. I could sense it. I'm like, I know you guys want to move. And over the years, no matter what, I always give a Dharma talk, and it's always 2 minutes or less, no matter what. That's just my way. And now that I have regular students, they come for the talk. They know it. It's like part of the practice. So you want to make sure that you don't get carried away, because once you start talking and once you start finding your voice, you may find that you really enjoy finding your voice and you want to share more and more and more. And that's where eventually the practice of, this is it, and now I'm going to be silent and I'm going to let my people do their practice. So being able to go into that, if you don't already do it, it will definitely expand your teaching. It'll enhance your teaching on many different levels, because you provide another dimension. Yoga is not just about the physical practice, and I know far too many teachers who start immediately in a physical posture, and that's okay if that's your thing. You don't have to be super spiritual about it, but anything And when I say anything, you know, the anything that I get often, like that's maybe a tidbit of a Dharma talk, which doesn't really count in my book, is standing there or sitting there and creating an intention. Okay, great. We all create an intention. How can you stand out from the rest? How can you be vulnerable enough to share something that happened in your life? Again, not because you're talking about yourself, but you got to find an intelligent way to kind of twist it at the end and let it be about them. Let it be about your students. Let it inspire, encourage, and motivate your students to break free from any type of suffering or stuckness that they may be experiencing. And the practice of physical yoga on the mat is an opportunity to study the body, to study the breath without judgment, and to be able to overcome and navigate the inevitable obstacles and challenges that we may face with breath, with trust, with presence, with balance, with surrender, right? So you can really use anything. Now, if you're newer to teaching yoga, you can definitely refer to books, you can read quotes, something like that to kind of, again, give your teaching, give your class a little bit extra flavor. Some of my favorite books are, I got them right here, what do you know? Books by Osho. I'm a big fan of Osho. This is one called Intimacy. What I love about this book and many other books by Osho is that there are these little quotes on some of the pages, like in a box. So I can literally open to any page and I'll find something really, really interesting. Unless you are capable of saying no, your yes is meaningless. Damn. Unless you are capable of saying no, your yes is meaningless. Already I can think of 8 million things to give a Dharma talk about. Like that time that I really wanted to say no because no was my truth, but I say yes because I'm a people pleaser. Oh, right? And the more honest you are, the more that you can like connect on this level with your students, the more connection that they are going to feel to you because you're being authentic and you're teaching ancient yogic wisdom with a modern day twist. You're not pretending to be like holier than thou. You're not pretending to be a guru. You're really keeping it real, but also keeping it yogic, right? So this is not about ego. This is about truth. I also will say that I do, if I'm looking for inspiration, I will look into the sutras, but I'll look in this book. I don't know if you guys have this one. Usually this is a required reading for the yoga teacher trainings, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali by Satchidananda, Swami Satchidananda. And what I love about this book is that it translates the ancient scriptures into very, very understandable modern English language. So I can read that, and then again, if I read these sutras, I get these aha moments. If something inspires me, if something inspires you, there's a very, very strong chance it will inspire your students. And that's the notion, is if I'm going to be doing yoga for an hour, for 2 hours, you know, that's a long time, and I want to be moving on a strong foundation, on something that's inspiring, like why am I here? And that's how yoga differentiates from other forms of fitness or meditation or really any activity for that, because it is challenging, and if you set the tone with something that's meaningful, it really can serve us and strengthen us on all levels, our students on all levels, not just physical, but you can really inspire their lives. I get so much feedback on a daily basis for how much people love my Dharma talks, and that's why I'm creating this video, because even some of you have asked about it. I've been hired by yoga teacher trainings to give lectures on how to teach a Dharma talk, so this is a big thing. This is important, especially if you're not doing it. It's good for you as a teacher to, again, begin to express yourself, find your voice, share your yoga. And it's also an amazing opportunity for your students to really learn more about yoga. So if, who knows, one day you're running a retreat or one day you're hosting a yoga teacher training, your students say, well, I want to study with her or him because he or she knows a lot. And I know that because they share wisdom in their classes. They share more than just alignment. They share more than just what to do with my body. They share the why. They share the deeper elements of yoga. So that's my 2 cents for you. If you're not sure, study the scriptures more, read more, get yourself inspired. Pay attention to the little things that happen in your everyday life. It doesn't have to be spiritual to be spiritual. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you so much for watching. Grab our free ebook below. I'm also going to include a link to our brand new free 3-part yoga retreat blueprint. So if you're interested or curious about maybe one day hosting yoga retreats, you're scared, you don't know what to do, how do you start? Get it below and you'll learn everything you need to know for free about how to run retreats and all that yummy stuff. Anyway, if you have any other questions, let me know. I'm here to serve you. I'll make a video based on your questions. So please keep it coming and happy teaching. There's no way that you can fail. So trust yourself, keep going one step at a time. Namaste.